So apparently, peace was on the table. Yeah, you heard that right, the unthinkable nearly happened. 50 Cent and Benzino almost squashed their legendary beef. But before you start celebrating world peace in hip-hop, here comes the ultimate plot twist: Eminem allegedly blocked it. You cannot make this up. The man who gave us Lose Yourself might have just made sure these two never found themselves. According to Benzino's new interview, the bad blood could have ended years ago, but Marshall Mathers himself stepped in like a label bodyguard with a grudge. Now the streets are on fire asking, did M really sabotage a truce to protect 50? Or was he just keeping an enemy exactly where he wanted him? And before you think this is old beef reheated, nah, this is sizzling fresh. We're talking new receipts, new shade, new chaos. Because if Benzino's right, this whole brotherhood between 50 and Eminem wasn't loyalty, it was leverage. This ain't your average rap beef story. This is hip-hop's version of Game of Thrones betrayal, power, ego, and one petty white rapper playing chess while the rest of the game bleeds. Grab your popcorn, this beef just got resurrected. The hip-hop universe has always had its fair share of wars: Nas vs. Jay-Z, Tupac vs. Biggie, Drake vs. Pusha T, but none of them had the nuclear chaos energy of 50 Cent vs. Benzino. This wasn't just a lyrical feud. It was a media bloodbath that turned into a decade-long demolition derby. And now, after all these years, Benzino just dropped a bomb that rewrites the whole timeline. He claims he and 50 Cent could have actually been cool if Eminem hadn't stepped in and ruined it. Let's rewind the tape. It all started back in the early 2000s, when 50 Cent was the new king of the streets: Bulletproof Vest, mixtapes on fire, and a record deal with shady aftermath that made him hip-hop royalty overnight. On the other side, Benzino, co-owner of The Source, the self-proclaimed Bible of hip-hop, and the man with enough industry clout to make or break careers with a single headline. For a minute, Benzino was that guy magazine covers, interviews, and rap beefs like they were his morning cardio. Then came Eminem. Benzino accused Slim Shady of commercializing hip-hop, said he was exploiting black culture, and basically lit a match inside a fireworks factory. M fired back with the sauce and nail in the coffin, while Benzino released his own diss tracks that aged about as well as Milk in the Sun. What should have been a rap battle turned into an industry war. Benzino dragged Eminem's name through interviews. Eminem shredded him in rhyme. 50 Cent, freshly signed to M and Dre, jumped in the crossfire, and suddenly Benzino's fight with one white rapper became an all-out battle with Shady Records itself. Back then, peace wasn't even in the vocabulary. This was scorched earth warfare. But here's the twist: according to Benzino's new interview, that hatred could have been buried years ago. He claims that after all the dust settled, he and 50 actually had mutual respect behind the scenes. "We was from similar places," he said. "We came from the streets. Both had our struggles. Both had our grind. We could have been cool if he wasn't under him." Now, hold up. This is Benzino. We're talking about the man who treats controversy like cardio, but this particular line hit different. Because when you think about it, the timeline kinda adds up. After the height of their feud, 50 Cent was moving in power circles, film deals, power, vitamin water, the whole mogul arc. Benzino was rebuilding after The Source imploded, doing podcasts, interviews, and getting surprisingly self-aware about his past. There were even whispers around 2016 that they'd cross paths backstage at an event in Atlanta and kept it cordial. "No beef," a witness said. They nodded, shook hands, moved on. That should have been the end. A quiet, grown man moment between two former rivals. But Benzino's claiming it didn't stay peaceful because, according to him, Eminem didn't like that idea one bit. He didn't want that, Benzino said, practically daring the internet to explode. "He knew if me and 50 ever got cool, the truth would come out. He kept 50 away from me. That's facts." Cue the sound of a million jaws hitting the floor. This isn't just gossip, this is a direct shot at Eminem's reputation as hip-hop's reclusive genius. Because if what Benzino's implying is true, it paints M as the puppet master behind decades of rap animosity. Think about it. 50 and M have built an entire empire on loyalty and shared enemies. Their friendship has been like a superhero duo, Batman and Robin, if Batman was petty and Robin kept a bazooka. But what if that bond wasn't built on brotherhood, but business? Benzino's theory goes deep. He claims M needed 50 to stay distant from anyone who'd question his legacy, especially Benzino, the guy who'd called him out when everyone else was kissing his platinum plaques. He couldn't let 50 see me as human, Benzino said, because then the hate would end. And if the hate ends, the control ends. Now that's not a diss track, that's a thesis statement. And the internet ate it up like Thanksgiving dinner. Every old hip-hop blog, podcast, and YouTube page resurrected the footage of their old interviews, trying to decode Benzino's words. Was this an old man rant or a rare moment of clarity from one of rap's most polarizing figures? Meanwhile, fans started pulling receipts from both sides. One clip resurfaced from 2003 where 50 Cent said, "I ride for M. Anybody got a problem with M got a problem with me." Another from 2006 where M told MTV, "Fifth's my brother, that's forever." For years, those quotes were badges of loyalty. But now, under Benzino's microscope, fans started seeing them differently. Maybe loyalty had blurred into manipulation. Of course, Benzino didn't stop there. He hinted that there were meetings, actual behind-the-scenes talks where a reconciliation between him and 50 was discussed. He said someone from 50's team once told him, "Man, 50 respects you more than you think." But before anything could happen, the communication suddenly went dark. "Next thing I know," Benzino said, "M's throwing shade again. Fifth's back to clowning me online." That ain't coincidence. Whether that's paranoia or a smoking gun depends on who you ask. But one thing's certain, it reignited a debate hip-hop hasn't had in years. How much power does Eminem really have? Because let's be honest, Eminem doesn't move like a typical celebrity. He's not outside doing interviews. He's not on podcasts sipping Casamigos. He's in the shadows, releasing verses like precision airstrikes. He's the boogeyman of hip-hop beefs. But Benzino's suggesting that behind those verses was a man protecting an empire and maybe a grudge that never really died. It's almost poetic. The man who once accused him of hijacking hip-hop now says he hijacked his piece. And the crazy part? People are starting to believe him. Because the rap world knows Eminem doesn't forgive, he just stops talking. And silence, in this culture, is never peace. It's planning.so here we are again, 20 years later. And hip-hop's coldest war has suddenly thawed just enough to reveal that maybe, just maybe, the real villain wasn't the one shouting the loudest, it was the one who never had to raise his voice at all. When Benzino dropped that Eminem blocked our peace bomb, the internet did what it always does best, it detonated it into 1,000 memes, conspiracies, and think pieces. Overnight, the Benzino vs. Eminem saga, which most people had filed under ancient hip-hop history, was suddenly front-page news again. Twitter, X was flooded with posts like "Eminem still playing Puppet Master in 2025 is wild," and "So Benzino really think he Thanos and M's the Avengers?" But here's where things got spicy. Fans started connecting dots nobody even knew existed. One viral thread claimed that Eminem's silence over the years wasn't humility, it was strategy. They argued that every time Benzino tried to rebrand himself or reconcile publicly, something shady always seemed to happen. An old clip resurfacing, a new meme trend mocking him, or a 50 Cent post roasting him out of nowhere. Coincidence? Or Slim Shady's invisible hand playing Puppet Master like he's the Illuminati of Interscope. People started reposting 50's legendary trolling clips, the ones where he's laughing into his phone, sipping champagne, and clowning his enemies for sport. Fans noticed something eerie. 50 never went after Benzino until after M reignited the beef. A fan tweet that went mega viral said, "Eminem's not a rapper anymore, he's a CIA handler for chaos. Every time he breathes, 50 Cent attacks someone new." It was hilarious but low-key, not entirely off base. Because here's the deal, even when you look at the receipts, Benzino's story doesn't sound completely delusional. Back in the early 2000s, Eminem and 50 had an unshakable bond. They weren't just label mates, they were business partners, brand extensions, and brothers in arms. Eminem built the machine. 50 fueled it. Every enemy of one became the target of both. And Benzino? He wasn't just an enemy, he was the blueprint for how they handled beefs moving forward. M wrote the sauce and nail in the coffin. 50 responded with subliminals, interviews, and power moves. It was the perfect good cop, bad cop combo, lyrical annihilation from M, then career humiliation from Fif. And Benzino's claim that he and 50 might have made peace? It's not impossible, but it would have broken that pattern. If 50 Cent ever hugged Benzino, that would be like Batman teaming up with the Joker to make a mixtape. The hip-hop internet would have melted faster than Ja Rule's album sales after 2003. So maybe M did step in. Maybe he saw the optics, his prodigy linking arms with his most notorious critic, and decided, nah, we're not doing that. But the internet being the internet. This theory grew legs faster than 50 Cent running toward a camera crew. YouTubers started dropping hour-long breakdowns with titles like how Eminem secretly controls 50 Cent's feuds and Benzino's revenge, the shady conspiracy you missed. These weren't small channels either. Major hip-hop commentators with millions of subs were now debating whether M had been orchestrating quiet PR warfare behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Benzino wasn't backing down. He doubled down, saying, "Y'all really think 50 make his own decisions? Come on, he a soldier, M the general. Everything that men do is strategic, including not making peace." He sounded half bitter, half enlightened, like a man who'd finally cracked the matrix but couldn't convince anyone to look. And while his critics rolled their eyes, his fans started posting old interviews of 50 talking about how much he owed M, dissecting every word like it was a CIA transcript. One tweet read, "Notice how 50 always calls Eminem the boss in interviews. That's not friendship, that's hierarchy." Another said, "Benzino might sound crazy, but what if he's the only one telling the truth and we've been laughing at the wrong guy?" It was chaos, hilarious, messy, and full of just enough breadcrumbs to make you wonder if there was something to it. And then, as if on cue, 50 Cent jumped in because you know he can't resist a chance to troll. He posted a photo of himself and Eminem laughing on a private jet with the caption, "Blocked another one. At Eminem, my guy." The internet lost it. Half the comments were laughing, the other half saying, "Wait, is he confirming it?" One fan commented, "50 trolling is the hip-hop version of Thanos snapping." Another wrote, "He don't even deny it. He just profits off it." And of course, Eminem said nothing. No tweet, no story, no comment. Just silence, the kind that fuels conspiracies. Because M's silence has always been louder than anyone else's words. He's like the rap game's Voldemort, the one guy you can't summon without chaos following. But here's the most ironic twist: Benzino's revelation started sparking sympathy for him. Yes, the same man who the internet once treated like a walking meme was now being seen as the underdog, the guy who got blackballed, humiliated, and dragged for decades while his rivals became billionaires. People began saying things like, Benzino might have been wrong, but he wasn't lying, and if he and 50 made peace, hip-hop could have healed one of its oldest wounds. Even industry insiders started whispering. One anonymous exec told High Fops, Eminem never forgave Benzino. Not for the racism talk, not for the source covers, not for the interviews. He made it clear anyone who's cool with Benzino ain't cool with him. That quote was like napalm on the timeline. Because suddenly, this wasn't just petty rap gossip, it was about Eminem's control over hip-hop politics. People began pointing out how M's approval or silence has shaped entire eras. When he co-signs someone, they blow up. When he ignores someone, they vanish. When he disses someone, they evaporate. He's not just a rapper, he's an invisible gatekeeper. So, when Benzino accused him of blocking peace, people didn't just laugh, they asked, would he really do that? And the scary answer? Maybe, because Eminem doesn't do random moves. Everything he's done, from who he signs to who he battles, has been calculated. And if he saw Benzino as the one man who tried to destroy his legacy during his peak, why wouldn't he make sure that bridge stayed burnt forever? Meanwhile, 50 Cent is out here playing the internet like a fiddle, cracking jokes, sipping champagne, and posting throwback photos of him and M like it's a friendship goals campaign. But now, those same photos hit different. Instead of looking like brotherhood, they look like alliance, a team, an empire built on shared enemies. By now, Benzino's comments had done what Benzino's comments always do: start small, explode online, and spiral into a cultural debate. But unlike his past rants, this one stuck, because maybe, just maybe, this time the world wasn't laughing at Benzino. They were listening. And if there's one thing we've learned from the shady legacy, when people start listening to your enemy, it's only a matter of time before the story changes. But before you crown Benzino the truth teller of the decade, hold on, because what happened next flipped everything again. A mysterious leaked clip began circulating, allegedly showing a private phone call between two old industry insiders talking about M never forgiving the source guy. And once that hit the webo, the whole narrative turned from rumor to revenge. By the time that leaked phone call hit the internet, it was game over. Hip-hop fans, journalists, and chaos connoisseurs everywhere were clutching their headphones like they'd just heard the final verse of Stand 2. The audio was grainy, muffled, and anonymous, but the voices sounded eerily familiar. Two industry vets casually chatting, one saying, "You know, I'm never let that Benzino thing go. That men hold grudges like they Grammy trophies." The other voice laughed and replied, "Fifth wanted to squash it years ago. M told him nah, let the clown stay in the circus." And just like that, the conspiracy had a soundtrack. Within hours, every gossip outlet in existence posted the clip with captions like, "Eminem's secret call leaks. Did he really block Benzino?" and 50 Cent's piece. The internet didn't even stop to verify it. It didn't matter whether it was real or AI generated, the narrative was too juicy to resist. Twitter threads exploded. YouTube breakdowns hit 1 million views overnight. And Reddit detectives were running voice analysis apps like they were auditioning for CSI. Hip-hop. Suddenly, the theory Benzino had been preaching sounded plausible. The man the culture once dismissed as delusional was now looking like hip-hop's Cassandra cursed to tell the truth before anyone believed him. And while the internet argued, Benzino doubled down again. He posted a video with that same smug "I told you so" expression that's been haunting Eminem fans since 2002. "Y'all hearing it now," he said. "Everything I've been saying right there in your face." He made sure that bridge stayed burnt. "I was ready to move on." He wasn't. The comments were a war zone. Half the people were saying, "Bro finally getting his vindication." The other half were yelling, "You still obsessed with this man after 2 decades? Go touch grass." But Benzino wasn't just ranting this time, he came with new receipts. He showed text messages between him and a mutual friend of 50 Cent from years ago. The messages hinted that 50 respected Benzino's hustle and even said they might chop it up someday. Nothing incriminating, but enough for the internet to scream. See, it was real. It was like watching a hip-hop soap opera, except every character was real, and every petty move was time-stamped. Meanwhile, 50 Cent, never one to miss an opportunity to troll, jumped in again. This time with a meme that broke the internet. It was a Photoshop picture of Eminem holding puppet strings over Benzino's head, with the caption, "Y'all keep letting this man talk." Shady basinas. The comments were pure chaos. 50 trolling from heaven at this point. He's the Joker of rap. Chaos is his cardio. This man can't even go one beef without a meme rollout. But even in the midst of 50's antics, something was shifting. Eminem, usually the master of lyrical revenge, still said nothing. No diss, no statement, no denial. And that silence? It screamed louder than a mixtape drop. The debate turned philosophical. Was M protecting his peace, or was he hiding his guilt? Some fans said he'd matured. Others said he was too powerful to care. But Benzino insisted, he ain't responding cause he know it's true. And honestly, the timeline started agreeing. Think about it, Eminem has always built his legacy on feuds. He doesn't ignore enemies. He erases them. So why stay silent now? If Benzino's claims were nonsense, wouldn't Slim Shady have barbecued him with a diss track by breakfast? But nope, nothing. Not even a tweet, which made the internet spiral even harder. Fan pages started posting side-by-sides. 2002 Eminem dissing Benzino in Nail in the Coffin vs. 2025 Eminem ignoring him entirely. One caption read, "That's not growth. That's guilt in a hoodie." Meanwhile, old heads in the rap game started speaking up too. One producer who'd worked with both 50 and M back in the day told Drink Champs, "Let's be real, M runs a tight circle. If he don't like you, ain't nobody in that circle allowed to like you either." Boom. Confirmation, or at least enough for the rumor mill to treat it as gospel. The internet crowned Eminem the gatekeeper of grudges. Memes started flying. He doesn't forget. He just waits for anniversaries. Shady Records should rename to Petty Records. But here's where it got really wild. While the world was dissecting M's alleged pettiness, Benzino suddenly switched gears out of nowhere. He posted a clip saying, "Look, at the end of the day, I ain't got no hate for that man. I just wanted the truth out there. I moved on. If 50 ever wanted to talk, I'd still do it." Wait, what? After 20 years of chaos, diss tracks, lawsuits, memes, and now alleged phone calls, Benzino suddenly wanted peace again. The internet didn't know how to process it. One fan said, "He's like that one ex who starts the fight and then says, 'Let's just talk.'" Another wrote, "Benzino's PR team must have unplugged his Wi-Fi mid-rant," but under all the jokes, there was a strange sense of finality. Maybe Benzino really was tired. Maybe he realized that fighting ghosts doesn't make headlines anymore, it just drains your legacy. 50 Cent, of course, couldn't resist one last jab. He posted a picture of a white flag emoji with the caption, "It's about time. Let it go, bro. Movie in." And then, the ultimate irony, fans started tagging Eminem under posts saying, "Be the bigger man. End it." Imagine that. The internet telling Eminem to let it go. The man who made an entire career out of not letting things go. But you know what? That might be the perfect ending. Because deep down, this saga isn't about hip-hop beef, it's about ego, forgiveness, and the fact that sometimes peace just doesn't sell as well as pain. Benzino may never get that handshake with 50 Cent. Eminem may never acknowledge him again. And the world will probably keep recycling the same beef-revived headlines every few years just to feel nostalgic. But for once, the chaos left everyone thinking, what if Benzino was right? What if behind all the fame and fortune, hip-hop's biggest alliances are just built on fear, control, and old grudges? Because in the end, maybe the real story wasn't about who blocked the peace, but why nobody ever really wanted it. And if that isn't the most shady ending possible, I don't know what is. And there you have it, 20 years of grudges, power plays, and rap royalty pettiness packed into one twisted saga that just refuses to die. Benzino says peace was possible, 50 Cent says he's laughing too hard to care, and Eminem, he's sitting somewhere in a Detroit studio, probably sipping coffee and ignoring every single one of them like the villain who already won. But now the question is, what do you think? Did Eminem really block the peace between 50 and Benzino to protect his empire? Or is Zeno rewriting history again for a little extra spotlight? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because hip-hop history is starting to look more like a telenovela than a timeline. And while you're there, smash that like button like it owes you royalty checks. Hit subscribe before this story turns into another secret diss track. And ring that notification bell so you never miss a single scandal we dig out of the vault. Because here on Truth Tattle, we don't whisper, we expose. Tomorrow it might be Drake calling out Kanye again, or Jay-Z pulling a silent power move that breaks the internet. You never know which superstar's ego we're dissecting next, but trust me, it's always juicier than therapy. So stay loud, stay curious, and remember, in hip-hop, peace talks never trend. But drama, that's forever platinum. This is Truth Tattle, signing off, where every feud has layers, every no comment hides a confession, and every silence is just the next verse waiting to drop.